Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Candidates for the country as state's top races are reaching out to North Carolina voters today. Take a look for yourself there. Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Julian Grace. Well, former President Donald Trump took to the stage in Wilmington this afternoon. He talked about another debate, the border, and the economy. But he didn't talk about the Republican candidate for governor, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. Now, Robinson is expected to talk to voters any minute now here at an event at Fayetteville Motor Speedway. It will be his first public appearance following a report accusing him of making sexually explicit and racially charged comments online. WRAL is bringing you team coverage from the campaign trail. We start on the coast with WRAL's Brett Neese, who talked with Trump supporters about the recent events affecting the Republican Party.
Over 10,000 people showed up in support of the former president. The enthusiasm for him overwhelming at times. And despite recent reports about Mark Robinson, enthusiasm for the Republican candidate for North Carolina governor also remains high. Donald Trump arrived in Wilmington after flying by the crowd of supporters at Wilmington's airport. Once on stage, he spoke about the issues he generally brings up at these rallies, including crime, the economy, and the border. He also brought up the possibility of a third presidential debate, a second one with Vice President Kamala Harris, who this afternoon posted on social media that she accepted an invitation for a debate. Trump said he's not going to do it.
The problem with another debate is that it's just too late. Voting has already started.
Today was Trump's first visit to North Carolina after CNN reported that Mark Robinson made lewd and divisive comments on a pornographic website more than a decade ago. During his speech, Trump did not mention the North Carolina's Republican gubernatorial nominee. Despite those reports, voters at the rally say they still stand behind Robinson and intend to vote for him in November.
I'm voting straight Republican. I don't believe in hearsay, rhetoric, gossips, kind of like CNN.
Up until this point, Mark Robinson is denying that those are his words. And I think we have to give him the benefit of the doubt until we find out otherwise.
Brett Neese, WRAL News, Wilmington.
Prior to Trump's rally, there was a news conference held by supporters of Kamala Harris. Among the speakers was former Trump administration national security official Olivia Troy.
But the values my patriotic parents instilled in me are fundamentally the American values that made me a Republican. They're still the values that make me who I am today. They're also the values that make me proud to support Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Not because we agree on every issue, but because we agree on the fundamental one, protecting our freedoms.
Yeah.
Choi has also worked for the Republican National Committee. She began a career in national security after the September 11th attacks and served in the Pentagon as George W. Bush's administration appointee. Mark Robinson did make his first public appearance since that CNN report came out. We are still waiting for him to show up. He's at a meet and greet event at the Fayetteville Motor Speedway. WRAL's Carly Haynes is live at the Speedway right now. Carly.
Well, Julian, this race is just about to get started itself. We're seeing hundreds of people here, many of them surprised to learn that Robinson would be attending this event himself. And this is the first time that we're covering him since that article was published and new allegations came out about his past. And that CNN article was published earlier this week where he made those comments on a porn forum. Robinson has since denied these allegations through videos he posted on his social media. He remained in the governor's race as the Republican nominee. This is despite calls for him to drop out from the NAACP and from some congressional Republicans. And again, this is happening on the same day as Trump's rally in Wilmington, where Robinson was not invited. Robinson had been to nearly all of Trump's North Carolina rallies prior to that CNN report. And this week, Republican Senator Thom Tillis suggested that if the report is false, like Robinson claims, then Robinson should take legal action or leave the race. Now, we are going to try to speak with Robinson during this meet and greet to learn how he's responding to these allegations and how he plans to move forward from them. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, live in Fayetteville.
So many questions out there. Well, the Down East Viking Football Classic returned to Rocky Mount today, and the celebration included voter engagement and education. Speakers from across the state and county gathered today, including Martin Luther King III, the eldest son of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The visit comes in light of a CNN report that tied Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson to racist comments made about Martin Luther King Jr. The King family has endorsed Attorney General Josh Stein for governor. Well, it is the last day of summer, and we might be ushering in fall with some rain overnight. Meteorologist Anthony Baglione is here with a closer look. Anthony.
Julian, it looks like as we get closer to about 11 o'clock this evening, we could see a few of these showers that are currently to our north trying to get into our area. It doesn't look like it's going to be a widespread deal for us, but I just want to make you aware here as we get into tonight. There's Futurecast, 6 o'clock here. We'll start us off right about now. We get through the next couple of hours. We're looking fine. There is 11 o'clock, though. It starts to see some of these pockets getting closer to our viewing area, and then they push through between about 11 o'clock and then let's say maybe at the latest about 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning. Here's a look at 8, though. You should be good to go for any of those church services out the door Sunday morning. The first day of fall for us tomorrow. There's a look at lunchtime. We're looking pretty good as well. Through the afternoon, still a lot of sunshine. We will see some still hot temperatures for us, Julian, as we head into this first day of fall. We're going to talk about how high they could get and a look at the tropics coming up here in a few minutes.
All right. Thank you, Anthony. Exposed septic systems, wires, and broken concrete. These are just some of the hazards the National Park Service is warning beachgoers about this morning after 2 more homes collapsed into the ocean near Rodanthe. The first collapse yesterday morning happened, damaging the second, which came down just after 9 o'clock last night. Both homes were vacant at the time. Officials are hiring contractors to help with the cleanup there. Deputies have identified the man shot and killed on Smithfield Road overnight. I should say Smith Road overnight. The Cumberland County Sheriff's Office says Sharik Taylor was shot and killed shortly before 9:30. Another man was shot and taken to the hospital for treatment. It's unclear whether the men shot each other or if somebody else was involved. 2 men were shot at a hookah lounge on Ramsey Street in Fayetteville. It happened just before 2 in the morning. Now, police say one of the men was taken to the hospital where he died from his injuries. The other man was taken to the hospital and is expected to be okay. Annabus Hookah Lounge has been the site of other shootings. That's the hookah lounge we told you about. Now, in June, 3 people were injured in a shooting at the business. Police said all of their injuries were not life-threatening. An escaped inmate remains on the run in Cumberland County. This man right here, Dejan Hoffman, ran off from the Cape Fear Valley Medical Center Thursday night. He was last seen at a nearby Motel 6, but when investigators checked, he wasn't there. Hoffman was arrested earlier this week, charged with stealing a car. He was also wanted for kidnapping and had pleaded guilty to gun charges in 2019. We have a recall alert we want you to be aware of. The company HP Hood is voluntarily recalling its lactose-free milk in 27 states, including North Carolina. The company says the product may contain trace amounts of almond. The company says it discovered the problem during routine maintenance. The recall is for 96-ounce containers that were shipped out September 5th through the 18th. The expiration dates stretch into early December. Here's a reminder, our 5 on Your Side team tracks the recalls that could impact you. You can find the details of the latest recalls on our website and on WRAL, the news app. All you have to do is search recall. The information is right there for you. People gathered in Wake County today to raise awareness and support mental health resources. How today's walk is benefiting students at HBCUs. Plus, Italian Americans gathered in Apex to celebrate their heritage and culture. What this festival means to so many. On this last day of summer, we wanted to give you a picture view of Lake Gaston. Doesn't it look beautiful out there? What a beautiful way to end the summer. Welcome back. This morning, more than 100 people came together with a single goal: raising awareness and funds to better serve mental health of HBCU campuses here in North Carolina. As WRAL's Eric Miller explains, the focus was on suicide prevention.
At Knightdale Station Park Saturday morning, runners are warming up.
Warming up those hips.
Both to tackle a 5K race and a pressing problem.
You can see behind me the starting line. We are really just at the starting line of doing this work in our communities.
Cynthia Young helped organize this event, the Walk for All Mankind.
This event was created to raise funds for our North Carolina-based historically black colleges and universities. These colleges are often under-resourced, understaffed, and so the growing need to support college students in our mental health efforts is increasing.
Young says the crowds are also here to reduce the stigma around mental health and particularly suicide.
The idea is to write down the name or bring a photo of a person that you may have known or lost to suicide, and to hold them in mind as you walk and remember what it is that we're doing and why.
More than 100 people turned out Saturday, raising more than $6,000, still short of organizers' goal of being able to provide 9 North Carolina HBCUs with $1,000 each.
We are continuing to accept donations through September 30th.
During the run and walk, groups passed around a 1-mile circuit 3 times before crossing the finish line. The end, young hopes, and a new start, too.
Just remembering this is, a physical finish line, but this is really the beginning.
Eric Miller, WRAL News.
All right, we don't want to rush this. As a reminder, if you or someone you know is struggling, help is available. Call or text the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline right there at 988. The Moore County Sheriff's Office hosted a Hope for Recovery event today. It raises awareness about the ongoing opioid crisis and celebrates folks in the recovery process with speakers, music, food, and so much more. In Raleigh, the DOT is demolishing the old eastbound Beltline Bridge over Hillsborough Street this weekend. It is starting to come down. The Hillsborough Street at I-440 is closed until 5 a.m. on Monday. Now, drivers will now use a new bridge, and the DOT plans on widening the lanes to ease traffic on drivers. The DOT says that widening project should be finished next year. The 6th annual Festa Italiana returned to Apex today. Look at this. It was so much fun out there. The event celebrates the Italian culture and heritage in the Triangle. It was founded by a small group of Italian Americans who are proud of their heritage and nostalgia for the festival they grew up with. Now, the festival highlights Italian culture, music, food, and wine.
Grateful to see people enjoying the Italian culture and celebrating heritage. It's because we're all diverse. And the Italian culture brings food and music and fashion, automobile.
Now, the festival raises thousands of dollars each year to support local charities. And Anthony, on the last day of summer, what a way to get out there. I know you are so sad you couldn't make it out there today.
Oh, no, I was bummed. Yeah, but it looks like they had a great night for it. And this weather, Julian, it's such a nice evening for us. As we get into tomorrow, it's going to be the first day of fall, but it's not going to feel like it. 86 degrees tomorrow afternoon is where we are headed. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. That's a wonderful event, though. My Italian heritage is doing the thumbs up with that event. Let's talk about where we sit out there right now. We have our beautiful Lake Gaston shot. You can see lots of boats out there, at least getting ready to head out on the water. Some of those. It's a gorgeous night for that with those temperatures mainly in the 80s. I did have to break out, though, the heat index map here that we use, of course, a lot of times during the summer because we're seeing a heat index value of 88, close to 90 there in Raleigh, 88 in Durham. Goldsboro looks like its reading is just not wanting to show up for us this evening. 84 degrees is what it feels like currently in Clinton as well as Fayetteville. We're going to be quiet here the next couple of hours, but if you are headed out, keep in mind by the time we get closer to, let's say, 10 or 11 o'clock, we could see some showers and maybe some thunderstorms coming through. There's 11 o'clock. It's not going to be severe weather, but there could be some of these that are a little bit more potent as far as just an isolated wind gust or two that's a little bit stronger. We get to 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, though, it should be just fine. No problems here for the majority of our Sunday. A lot of sunshine headed this way for the first day of fall. We'll see a few clouds tomorrow afternoon, maybe a stray sprinkle or two, very similar to what we're seeing out there later on tonight as we get into tomorrow evening. The autumnal equinox, we call it, when fall officially starts, 8:44 tomorrow morning. Our forecast is 86 degrees. I had to go back and look last year just for comparison's sake. We were in the 60s in 2023 when we started our fall season. Nowhere near that for us as we get into tomorrow afternoon. 86 degrees there at 3 o'clock. Again, should be nice and dry for any plans. No major issues for you as we head through our day. Let's spend some time here on the tropics, though, because I know we've been talking about this potential area of development there in the Caribbean. Where we sit with this right now, our chances of development are at about 60%. That has not changed since this morning. And I know this looks like a track, but this is kind of a potential area of development, if you will. 60% is where we're going here over the next couple of days, or over the next 7 days, rather. Here is one model's potential outlook. This is the European model. It usually does a generally good idea, and I think it's doing a pretty good job of showing there is the center of that potential storm system as we get there into about Wednesday, 6 p.m. next week. So this upcoming week, or rather next week. 6 o'clock, there's that center. It goes into the Gulf of Mexico. It gets closer to the Florida Gulf Coast as we head probably into Thursday, Friday or so. This particular model would be showing maybe a Category 1 hurricane or a tropical storm. Nothing majorly strong, but of course that can still cause some issues. That's one particular model. The other ones are very similar. So we're going to keep an eye on that. It does not look like it would be an impact to our weather here across North Carolina, aside from maybe some rain. 86 degrees there on our Sunday, 80 degrees on Monday, 79 on Tuesday. We keep those temperatures in the 70s and 80s here for the next week or so. About a 30% chance of some rain and storms as we head into next week. Looking pretty good here for the first day of fall tomorrow. Like I said, temperatures mainly in the 80s across the area. We will continue to keep a close eye on that. But for now, we're going to head over to the WRAL Live Center with an update.
Yeah, happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson has arrived at Fayetteville Motor Speedway for a meet and greet. As Carly Haynes mentioned a couple minutes ago, he is going to be at that meet and greet where she is going to try and speak with him, and it's his first public appearance since that CNN report came out this week. Look for her report coming up on WRAL News at 10. We're going to have much more for you then and at 11.
People will have plenty of questions there. All right, let's talk a little bit of football. Luis Fernandez is joining us now. Hey, Luis.
Hey, Julian, we are live at O'Kelly Riddick Stadium where two rivals are set to clash, NC Central and NC A&T. But first, NC State and UNC played football games today. Well, neither team played very good football games today. We check in on a very, very bad day for the Wolfpack and the Tar Heels. That's next in sports. Welcome to O'Kelly Riddick Stadium, where NC Central hosts NC A&T coming up in less than an hour. These two former MEAC rivals, NC A&T now in the CAA. Central's won 2 in a row against the Aggies, but this is the first time A&T has come to the nest since 2018. We'll have more on this matchup coming up in just a second, but let's start today with a pair of ACC teams playing at noon in Death Valley. NC State going to number 21 Clemson. Quarterback Grayson McCall out with an injury. True freshman C.J. Bailey starting on the road. But forget about the offense. The Wolfpack defense came out flat as a pancake. Cade Klubnik goes 55 yards on this run for the score. 14-0 now. The true freshman is getting sacked from behind. Fumble. Clemson scores 28 points in the first quarter. Kendrick Raphael gets NC State on the board with this 6-yard run, but it's too little too late. NC State trails Clemson 45-7 at half. 3 turnovers for the Wolfpack, over 500 yards allowed. NC State scores 21 points in the fourth, but this game was essentially over. 59-35, the final score. UNC taking on James Madison at home. Jacoby Criswell's first start at quarterback. Carolina just a 10.5-point favorite and had the makings of an upset early. Blocked, punt, return for a score. Just like that, it's 11-0 JMU. Carolina offense would settle in, though. Jacoby Criswell is going to find Bryson Nesbitt, and he's going to make some fancy moves for Carolina's future NFL tight end. But they just couldn't stop the bleeding on defense. James Madison scored 50 points in the first half, 70 points in the game. There are many words to describe this one, but embarrassing is the one that jumps out. UNC loses 70-50. WRAL's Pat Welter joins us from Chapel Hill with reaction.
All offseason, Mac Brown talked about playing to a standard. This wasn't it. 53 points in the first half to James Madison, the most ever allowed by UNC in a half. This will go down as one of, if not the worst losses in Carolina history. And it was a game that, could have been the crowning of quarterback Jacoby Criswell. Instead, it became a complete calamity. And sure, there was some recipe for an upset, early things happening in the game, but what really doomed UNC was their supposedly much improved defense that looked like it wasn't prepared, and then just like it didn't even want to play. Now, credit to anybody who stayed till the end of this one. Mack Brown didn't have a choice. He didn't run from the performance. He called it a shocking, embarrassing loss.
It can only come back to one person, and that's me. I've hired everybody on this staff. I hired everybody that works in this building, and I've signed every player on this team. So, I mean, the people that want to blame me, they should, because I am at fault, 100%.
No players were made available to the media after this one, so Mack Brown truly putting it on his shoulders, and I'm not sure which is worse, this loss or last year's no-show at NC State. All I know is that you can't have both. And Mack Brown now 0-3 his last 3 versus NC State. This was his 8th loss as a double-digit favorite since 2020. This one to a team that just recently joined the FBS. Mack Brown not ready to call this the low point of his career. He said he'd like to think an hour before calling this the worst day of his life. Still in Chapel Hill, Pat Welter, WRAL Sports.
Strong words there from Mack Brown, Pat. Thank you so much. To the NFL we go. There's a full slate of games on WRAL and Fox 50 on Sunday, beginning at 1 on Fox 50. Don't miss the best offense in the NFL. The New Orleans Saints taking on the Eagles. And then on Fox 50, it's Ravens at Cowboys. Baltimore is looking for its first win. Then on Sunday Night Football on WRAL, the Chiefs at the Falcons at 8:20. We'll have full coverage of this game coming up later tonight on Fox 50 and WRAL, A&T, and Central, kicking off in just about half an hour. Send it back to you.
That'll be a good one. Thanks, Lewis, and thank you for watching. Have a good night.